Hi, folks. I came out. Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the attitudes that are expressed, certainly online and the discussion boards and the like, in third world dirt poor basket case countries about the Western immigration policies. Now, from my perspective, when you've got close to 400,000 people a year coming into Australia, a population of 25 million, when you've got 400,000 people a year coming in, when you add in all the relatives and the chain migration or family reunion migration, as it's called here in Australia, then that's a massive amount of people coming in, most of whom are peasants and illiterate and care nothing for our customs and habits and culture here in Australia. And we'll live here for 30 or 40 years or even multiple generations and still see themselves as Indian or whatever, and certainly not see themselves as Australian or have any desire or wish to integrate into the local population. So I think those are huge numbers of people coming in. The people coming in from the white countries are much less, and they're usually on quite short-term work visas, and they are. And if the government wants to evict a white person from Australia, an immigrant, say from Ireland or somewhere like that, then they don't seem to have much trouble. They can easily find them. They can do it without any trouble. There's no army of NGO lawyers to help the Irish guy that's getting kicked out, but there is a veritable army and very well cashed up army of lawyers from the NGOs to help any black illiterate peasant who's being the government wants to kick out. So, but I guess the surprising thing is how restrictive and brutal the brown and black people see the Western immigration, and particularly Australia is one example. Well, that's where I was focusing on anyway, looking at these various discussion boards and forums and the like. And I suppose there's a couple of things. Firstly, people from the subcontinent, particularly those in the upper classes, they see themselves as almost as demigods, and we in the West should be damn grateful that they're even deigning to come here and gift us, let us bask in their light. And so any policies or anything that may not only restrict them, but that may even ask them to justify why they want to come or fill out a form, that's an unspeakable insult to people who are so gifted and brilliant and so godlike. And so they think it's restrictive. Even if they have no skills, they believe that their social status alone bestows them with indescribable gifts, and so we should be here in the West and the white countries again should be falling on our knees and kowtowing with gushing gratitude for them even coming here. And this is some time ago, I was talking to an upper class from Pakistan, and they, particularly her, not quite as much him, but the couple there, they were outraged that someone of what they thought was lower class at the immigration had been questioning them, and as they saw it, an interrogation, had been questioning them about why they wanted to come to Australia and why they wanted to live here, and so on and so forth. So it was interesting listening to her complain. Now, she claims she's a skilled worker, but really she's educated in Western terms to maybe a very junior accountant, maybe a clerk level accountant, deputy assistant accountant, that sort of thing. So nothing fancy at all, far from it. But in where she comes from, that's a pretty decent sort of bit of paper to have with you. So she thinks she's coming here to show white people how to add up numbers and do a spreadsheet and that sort of thing, because no one in the West could possibly know that. She's come to enlighten us. And somebody with that limited sort of skill base, and I'm thinking, you're nothing. I mean, we pump people like that out of outer suburban, shitty, cheap technical colleges, have those sort of qualifications. You got a fifth tier diploma. That's all you got. But they don't see it that way, and they see themselves as being incredibly skilled. There's also a lot of propaganda around that the West is full of total absolute idiots. There's a real shortage of people to do important work. White people are way too lazy and stupid and so on. So there's a lot of this silly sort of propaganda on the street, and so they think, well, why aren't we being brought out here to fix everything up? You sort these white people out and show them how it's done and that sort of thing. And I was surprised how many of them that aren't qualified in much of anything, minimally, if at all. I would think not. Even people that can, they've got some crappy typing diploma and they do 20 words a minute or something. They fancy themselves as kick-ass skilled people that should be given fast track. I've got my damn 20 word a minute typing diploma. I don't have to go through any damn immigration process. I should just be able to walk in wherever I feel like it. So the other side of it is that the West should allow people from the poorer countries to go to the West in any number, millions, hundreds of millions, billions, should be able to just walk in. And why not? There's also a lot of propaganda there that tells the people in the Indian subcontinent, by the way, have always been dirt poor. And any wealth, if you look at the Taj Mahal, that was built by extracting every penny of wealth out of hundreds of millions of poor people to create one fancy building, which by the way is impressive. But that's not an expression of the wealth of the country. Far from it. It's an expression of how many hundreds of millions of peasants were screwed to accumulate that wealth in one spot, which is expressed in that Taj Mahal or other, a few other huge buildings. But a tiny elite lived very, very well, but the rest of them were dirt poor. And again, in places like India and Pakistan, you walk over dead bodies in the street and no one even gives a sideways glance, which when I first saw it, I was stunned. But I was already hear about it when you see it up close. And you go, oh, shit. So anyway, these people think that the policy is restrictive. They should be able to walk in. They think that fifth tier piss poor diplomas should be considered as the equivalent of triple PhDs. And so they've got a real comprehension of how the value system of work and of qualifications and so on. They similarly, because they come from very corrupt societies, India is a basket case of corruption as an example. Many of the people who have degrees or masters or PhDs have bought it. They bribe someone to give them the degree. And if you come from a wealthy enough family, you can throw around just a few $1,000s, which to some of these people who can approve the degree, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a serious amount of money. So it's equivalent of, say, 2 or 3 years' wages. So a lot of them come with these corrupt degrees and don't have the thing. But they see that the fact they've got the bit of paper is the issue. In fact, they don't know anything, didn't study, didn't learn anything, didn't have the work out. That's irrelevant. Stop nitpicking. Well, I've got the bit of paper. That's good enough. But these people, some of them from Africa or parts of Africa, Nigeria, and so on. But particularly you see this in the subcontinent, not only in India but also the Pakistan and Bangladesh. They see this absolute right to come to the West, and they see that any questioning of them or any join the queue or anything like that at all is an outrage, an absolute outrage. And they're all hugely gifted and skilled, far more than any white person, and they should be welcomed in. They should be invited in. They should be rewarded. In fact, as they walk off the plane or the boat, there should be a cheer squad there, a cheer squad of cheerleaders and cheergirls cheering them in and thanking them and getting down on these, kissing their feet for even wanting to come to a place like this. And that's pretty much their attitude. And I and I've hired some of these people over the years, particularly with companies where the CEO was was gagging over all this cheap labour and all this sort of stuff, and how brown the programming department was an expression of just how go ahead he was in terms of his embracing the new economy and that sort of thing. And I had to fire almost everyone that I'd hired. They talked a good fight, but they said they were expert programmers, but they couldn't cut a line of code to save their lives. So I found that. And then there are some that are impressive, by the way. And in a chatty sort of philosophical Socratic sense, as you sort of go into the the banter and the raconteuring and that sort of thing. Some of them are quite nice to talk to and quite pleasant, and rather like chatting to them. But as employees delivering value, no, just don't find it. But that's their attitude. They should be entitled to come in, and in spite of the millions upon millions that are just waved into the West, these people still think that the immigration policies of those damn wicked Nazi fascist Hitler white West are still overly restrictive and brutally discriminatory and racist. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.